Congratulations, you have just signed your first client and now it's time to develop a marketing strategy for them. My name is Krishna Rathi. I run a successful digital marketing agency, and in this video, this is exactly what we are going to cover. We are going to cover how to develop your first and initial marketing strategy, a marketing plan up, which you're doing for your client, which you have just signed on. Okay, so the main topic which we're going to cover here is how to evaluate your client's needs and exactly what they need out of, for example, the services you're providing, and to develop a comprehensive digital marketing plan for them. Okay, so some of the things which we are going to cover as in the topics, and it goes in a chronological order, would be the information sources where you can derive this information from. Once you have that derived information about their market study and what their customer base and market base looks like, then you create smart goals for them. And third way, how to present it in a excellent manner and the things you can include in the presentation as well. Okay, so let's get started with the number one thing. First of all, before we get into the information sources, you really need to know the buyer's journey inside your client's brand or business. Okay, so in most cases, it starts with a stranger. Okay, you attract them, they became an engager. So maybe there's a random person on the internet and you attract them via your organic posts or paid ads, and they come on your Instagram profile, they start following you, they start engaging with your post. Okay, so that's an engager. Now from an engager, okay, you convert them. Okay, so they become a lead, and now from a lead, you close them into making a purchase, they become a customer, and last but not the least is the sweet spot, where you have the customer and now you start delighting that customer and then they become a promoter. So that's the entire journey from stranger to promoter right here. So stranger to engager, engager to lead, lead to customer, customer to promoter. Okay, and now let's just get started, because if you do not have proper sources and if you do not have proper understanding, okay, proper prevention in its own sense prevents poor performance. So you really need to dial everything in about your customer, about your client's customers, okay, and then move ahead. So sources of information, what can you use? Number one would be the initial research on the company, which you do on your end, just the general marketing research. Okay. Second thing would be meeting notes. We personally have two types of calls with our clients before we close them. Number one is a discovery call. The second is a demo call. You can call them fancy names like Project Scale, which is what we do, right? But it's a discovery call and then a demo call. And the number three thing where you can derive information from is the onboarding form itself once the client has signed on. Okay, so now let's move on to creating smart goals for them. Once you have the information, and I'll look into more of the information which you can cover, but just to give you like a brief, this could be what tools and platforms they're using currently in your marketing efforts. This is basically all the information you can derive from their onboarding steps and any new assets or market research they give you, which they have already done. Okay, so what tools and platforms are they currently using? What are the steps in their current sales process? What are the goals which they have working with you? Okay, what's the lifetime value of their customer? How much does it cost for them to acquire a new customer? Okay, what's the age range, gender? What does the customer like? What does the customer hate? Okay, what type of household do they live in? Are they like in high ticket buyer, a low ticket buyer, an engaged shopper? Okay, what are some of the common hesitations their customers have? This is all the information you need from the brand owner or the founder himself or herself. Okay, this is where you derive the first set of knowledge. So again, just to cover up and brief it up, we have the initial research which you do on the company. The second thing would be the meeting notes which you get out of both the calls you have with them. It could be one call closed, then it will just be one call, or it can be two calls. Okay, and then last will be the onboarding form and all the resources they give you during onboarding. These are all the main sources of information you can derive stuff from. Now you have all the sources of information. What do you do with this? You obviously craft goals, right? That's what you're here for. You're here to set goals and achieve them for your clients and customers. Okay, so how do we create a SMART, SMART goal? Okay, number one would be, out of the SMART, S, be specific. Okay, what do you want to do? Just be specific with the goal. Okay, number two would be M. M means measurable. How will you know when you have reached it? Because one of the issues which I see with social media management, right, as a service, is you really can't measure the results. How can you define like, oh, I helped you generate X amount of followers, but the but the founder does not know, right? But the business owner does not know how many of them converted into this X cash value. You'll never have an idea about it. So that's why your goals need to be very measurable, as well as your service. But that's something which we cover in another video, right? Next would be A for attainable. Is it in your power to accomplish it? Is the goal achievable and attainable just from your end itself? Can you take all the responsibility for it? Even if yes, partly it might be a responsibility from both ends, but when you're planning goals, you have to take everything on your own, because any mistakes you make, any wins you make, everything comes to you, right? So you have to take care of both the wins and the losses. So you need to make an attainable goal, and you need to know that these goals are attainable and are in your power to achieve, okay? Then R in the SMART, right? R will be relevant, okay? Is it relevant to the client? Is the goal relevant to the client, right? You're working with like an e-commerce store, for example, and you're talking about getting them engagement on their posts. Like how is it relevant? You're running video views ads. Like, it's not relevant. They need customers. They need return on the ad spend they're spending, right? Now, last will be the T out of the SMART, which will be time-based. When do you want to accomplish it? There always has to be a time element in the results which you produce. And the lower it is, the better you can sell your customer, the happier the customer is if you actually deliver, and then they become a promoter for your business as well. Okay? And that's how you get referrals too. So that's basically everything you cover in the SMART goals and how you create it. Now, coming to the last but not the least, how do you plan a marketing plan? This can be in the form of a presentation. This can be in the form of a document which you provide to them for easy access, so that they can share it with other part members or other decision makers as well inside the business. But here's the key elements which you cover inside the marketing plan. Number one would be like an executive summary. So executive summary of everything which you include and what you are planning to do in a long-term perspective. So let's say you sign them on like a 6-month contract. What are you planning to do? What's the end goal of this relationship which you guys have just formed and they have paid you good money for, right? Next would be the long-term business goals, which is an extension of the executive summary. So what are some of the long-term business goals you have in mind? And then would come the initial focus points. What are some of the initial goals which you want to fix right away within like the 30 day span of them joining you? You need to get it fixed. For example, they're losing money, shutting down the lost ads, right? Or like fixing their conversion rate would be one of the first key elements you take before running ads for them, okay? Next would be the scope of work. We need to set clear expectations, and since you will be presenting, like in the most cases, this marketing plan we're talking about is produced and shown on the first kickoff call with your client. So you need to set expectations right, and I can give you a brief on the kickoff call in some other video, but in this document itself which you're creating, or like a presentation, you need to mention the scope of work as well. What all will you be undertaking? You are not an employee, you're an equal business owner who's here to help, and you have a mutual relationship. So you need to set expectations as well as barriers, okay? Now, agreed monthly budget, you can just, if it's like a local client, it's much preferable to mention the budget per ad sets and how much they are providing you in terms of ad spend, what you can use, okay? And then you move on with the specific campaigns which you have in mind. It's this part is more detailed and more actionable, and not really just something which comes out of the mind. You actually go into, for example, you're providing paid ads, right? You actually go into the TikTok ads campaigns, you actually go into the Facebook ad campaigns, and then you analyze and create like test campaigns for them just to show them, okay? And then you give them an idea of what the campaign one would be like, how are you going to carry out, for example, user-generated content, how are you going to use user-generated content in advertising for them, how are you going to respond to their retargeting funnel, how are you planning to build that for small businesses, okay? This could be anything, right? So that's the last thing which you cover inside this. But that's basically it. The 3 things you need to create a very, very successful digital marketing plan for the client you have just signed on. The reason why this is so important is because it's your first impression. And as the saying goes, right? How you present yourself is how people first view you, okay? So what are you showcasing? And that question should be with you, okay? So that's basically it. What we covered was, number 1, how to gain information, how to set clear and attainable goals out of the information which you just received, and number 3, how to present that information and goals which you have just created in a very presentable manner to your clients, So now you know how to evaluate your clients' needs and set and develop a comprehensive digital marketing plan for them. So hope this video helps, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.